I'm so glad that you got to come here today because the White House is decorated. And the theme this year is peace and light. So I hope that you all feel that sense of, peace and light, and that just for a moment when you leave here today that you feel, a sense of joy. Because I think we all need we all need to feel joy now during this time of the season, during this time. So anyway, okay, now I'll start. You're all reading into that.
Now let's talk about Kamala Harris. I've got to say, she is the cash cow. It's been revealed she blew $1.5 billion in just 15 weeks. Josh, how on earth did the campaign spend that much money during the election?
I have no idea. I actually have no idea what the answer is. I suspect that Kamala Harris's donors do not know what the answer is too, but I suspect that they're having a rather large size of buyer's remorse at this particular point. I saw at least at one point that they built her an impromptu podcast set for the so-called Call Your Daddy podcast. If I'm not mistaken, I think the cost of that impromptu one-time set was like $100,000. And things are so bad for Kamala Harris that the host of that podcast, of this very left-wing podcast, the Call Your Daddy podcast, actually said, oh, wait, my permanent set doesn't even cost $100,000. What the heck are you doing there? So, I mean, I have no idea who is controlling the purse strings with this particular campaign, but this is going to go down as one of the most profligate political campaigns in the entire history of this country, which, by the way, is very fitting because this current administration, the Biden-Harris administration, in which she has served as the nominal putative vice president, also goes down history as one of the most profligate administrations in American history.
Well, actually, I just want to play our viewers that particular line from the host of Call Her Daddy, because I think it's important. Here was what that host said.
The Harris campaign spent like $100,000.
I did see
you
that.
know about this?
It's hilarious.
To build the studio.
Yeah, that's not true.
To make it look like it was the studio that you used in LA.
My studio that is gorgeous in Los Angeles doesn't even cost six figures. So I don't know how cardboard walls could cost six figures, but.
But do you think they did that? I mean, you saw it.
Absolutely not. With love to them. Oh my God, it was gorgeous, but like, it wasn't that nice. It wasn't like gorgeous marble. Like, no, that was not six figures.
You know, Josh, what I find funny about this is that Call Her Daddy, they thought, oh, well, we've got this huge coup. We've got Kamala Harris on. Now she's lost, and now the host is coming out, slamming this decision to build a set. I mean, no wonder voters could see right through Kamala Harris.
But the fact that she went on that show in the first place is everything that you need to know about why Kamala Harris lost as a candidate. You know, she was not trying to reach the actual swing voters. She was not trying to reach the factory workers in Michigan, or the people who are farmers who are tilling the soil in a place like North Carolina or Georgia. She's trying to reach this blue check social media echo chamber. It's frankly the exact same reason that she didn't even make it to the first in the nation Iowa caucuses back in the Democratic primary all the way back in 2020, because she has been surrounded for basically her entire political career, as far as I can tell, by this ridiculous left-wing echo chamber that is telling her to go all in on all the intersectional identity politics issues, go all in on feminism, on transgenderism, on open borders, on all these crazy things there. Otherwise, how can you possibly think that it is a good idea to go on this podcast where the episode that was on apparently before her episode was about the art of a sexual act that I will not name out of respect for the viewers of this particular program? But that is the kind of fare, that is the kind of content, the R-rated content we would say here in the States, that is the kind of content that is on the Call Her Daddy show. And the fact that she thought it would be a good idea for the sitting vice president of the United States to go on that particular show, it's ultimately insulting to the American people, which is why frankly, that we responded in the election that the way we did.
Yeah, goes on a sex podcast, thinks that she's going to have great success. Go figure. Unbelievable, Josh. Now, look, black Kamala Harris staffers have accused the campaign leadership of mistreatment and outright racial discrimination. This was part of an explosive article in the New York Times, which also revealed that the campaign leadership dismissed concerns that the Democrats were taking their base for granted. Josh, how do you read this? I mean, did the Harris campaign completely blow it?
Well, they blew it for multiple reasons, but you know, my takeaway from this election is that it was not that Joe Biden was to blame for their loss. It was not that Kamala Harris was to blame for the loss. Rather, I think that the Democratic Party, as an institution, is really what is to blame for the fact that Democrats lost this election. And what I mean by that is because, as we were just saying, they put themselves in a position of their own volition, of their own free will, where they became the party of this very loud, very vocal, but ultimately tiny and statistically insignificant portion of the broader American electorate. They backed themselves into a corner because their consultants, the people on the campaigns, they have all these stupid young millennials with their college degrees, and they're saying, oh, all the rage these days is that you can be a woman if you're a man if you want to. All the rage these days is compassion for illegal aliens. Don't worry about the drugs, the fentanyl trafficking in here. That ultimately is why they lost. And again, I have seen no indication since the election, none, that they have learned any of the right lessons, frankly. As someone who wishes them nothing but the worst, though, I'm pretty happy about that.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think we're all with you here as well. Now, I've got to say, Josh, this really is the gift that keeps on giving, because have a look at this snub that Joe and Jill Biden gave Kamala. Have a look. Oh, Josh, they can't even look at her. They can't even look. You can see that there's tension there.
Yeah, you can cut the tension in that room with a butter knife, frankly. I mean, Joe Biden is clearly still peeved. I actually blame him. I don't think Joe Biden's a particularly good person. I think he's been a bad person, actually, for basically his entire political career, going back at least as far as his tag teaming with Ted Kennedy to Robert Bork during the 1987 U.S. Supreme Court confirmation fight. But despite the fact that he is not a good person, you know, what happened to him in many ways was actually quite wrong, because he was cooed by his own running mate. He was cooed by Kamala Harris. I mean, he was cooed by the very person that he stood an olive branch to and putting her on the ticket in the first place back in 2020. By the way, it's not just Kamala Harris, it's also Barack Obama, for whom Joe Biden was the vice president of the United States. Barack Obama, along with Nancy Pelosi and then Kamala Harris as well. But really, Barack Obama, probably above all, I mean, he was the #1 ringleader here. So Joe Biden, I mean, talk about someone who's been in politics for a half century, literally could not be going out with more of a whimper as opposed to a bang. Donald Trump's been in France. He's been making the rounds. He's got the red carpet treatment there. Do people even remember that Joe Biden is technically the president of the United States right now? Frankly, being here in America, we don't really hear much about him. And again, he can't get out of office soon enough, but already at this point, no one around around the world is treating him like he's the president.
Yeah, he's almost the forgotten president. I've got to say, though, January 20 can't come soon enough. Josh Hammer, great to have you on. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you so much.